could use some exotic booze. There's a bar in Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's float down to Peru. In Llama Land, there's a one-man band, and he'll toot his flute for you. Come fly with me, let's take off in the blue. Once I get you up there, where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near. You may hear angels cheer, hearts are together. Weather-wise, it's such a lovely day. Just say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Acapulco Bay. It's perfect for a flying honeymoon, they say. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Woo! Once I get you up there, where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near. You may hear angels cheer, 'cause we're together. Weather-wise, it's such a lovely day. You just say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Acapulco Bay. It's perfect for a flying honeymoon, they say. Come fly with me, let's fly. Pack up, let's fly away.
Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the Essendon Fields Airport's official 100th birthday celebration, where we are celebrating 100 years of the Essendon Airport, Melbourne's first airport. I'm Nikki Buckley, and I am honoured to be here celebrating such a huge moment in Melbourne history. Thank you to the Lumsden sisters for their awesome rendition of Come Fly With Me. What an absolute treat that was. Now, before we get started, I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of Essendon Fields, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, their spirits, ancestors, elders and community members past and present. Now, our event may look a little different today, but it's still a big day for Melbourne, so we wanted to celebrate however we could. So, to kick it off, let's take a trip down memory lane with the following video highlighting a brief history of Essendon Fields Airport.
Good afternoon, my name is Auntie Brenda. I'd like to welcome elders, past, present and emerging, to our beautiful Wurundjeri land that we're standing on today. I think that if we teach our children, they will look after it too by guiding them through and teaching them about the history.
The site of the present-day Essendon Fields has serviced civil aviation in the area since 1921, when the site was established on farmland known as St John's, and as they say, the rest is history.
Dad's always told me a story that when he and his twin brother were probably about 10 or 11, they rode their bikes with their father across the paddocks of Coburg and Brunswick and came to Essendon Airport one Saturday afternoon, and there was a tiger moth, and then their father just turned around and said to them, "All right guys, hop in, you're going for a ride." They would never have done anything like that. They didn't even have a car.
My name's Glenda. Our childhood was pretty tough. Nothing was plentiful. In those days, the Red Cross were very good to us. They often brought groceries. That's when I discovered this competition on the top of a Cornies cereal packet. It's a free flight over Melbourne if you send the 24 tops in. I had a letter from them to say, "You have won this competition." And we went so high in the air, high up to 10,000 feet. And the houses down below were so tiny. It was one of the best things that happened to me in my life.
Back on the mainland, the royal couple were acclaimed in Melbourne. If it did not actually attempt to outdo the fervour of Sydney's welcome, had the satisfaction of feeling that it must have equalled it.
Me and my mate Mick, we lived down the road. I was 3.5, he was 4. And we got a bit bored at his place, so we thought we'd come up and see where his dad worked, which is Essendon Airport. We got on his tricycle, snuck the tricycle underneath the fence, rode across the paddocks, and we found the runway. Apparently a Fokker friendship was landing and saw these 2 kids, and the fire truck got us, and while they were driving us back, I got to turn the siren on. But that was on semi-final night, I think, and we're on the front page of the newspaper. I'll remember that one.
Got back to the Fokker friendship again. We had a pretty healthy crowd out here at Essendon, and as I said before, I don't think the Beatles could have wished for a more enthusiastic welcome from the people of Melbourne.
Hi, my name's Ian. I used to work here.
And my name's Lynn, and I used to live in Essendon, and I'm married to Ian. My parents were going to New Zealand for a holiday, and so we all came up to the airport to wave them off, which was very, very nice. But what we didn't tell them was the night before we'd bought rucksacks and we brought them up to Essendon Airport. Once my parents had gone, we raced around and got our rucksacks and got on the plane and sent them a telegram and said, "We'll see you in 8 weeks' time. We've gone hitchhiking in Tasmania." And that was it, we were gone.
Essendon was unable to handle jet aircraft of the Boeing 707 or McDonnell Douglas DC-8 type. Certainly there remained no space for airport expansion.
It's exciting to reflect on the fact that this began as just rural farmland, and today, just 100 years later, we have a thriving modern airport.
Wow, that was incredible to see thousands turning up to see the Beatles. Those were the days. Well, now here's something I wasn't aware of. Did you know that today the airport plays a critical role for emergency services? 1/3 of all flights at Essendon Airport are emergency related, with 13,000 emergency services flights per year. Air Ambulance have been performing their life-saving work from Essendon Airport for 58 years. It's a 24/7 operation and critical to providing our emergency services workers with the best environment possible. Pretty incredible, isn't it? And that brings us to our first speaker. It is my pleasure to introduce the Honourable Danny Pearson, State Member for Essendon, Assistant Treasurer, Minister for Regulatory Reform, Government Services and Creative Industries.
I'm delighted to be here today to celebrate the centenary of Essendon Fields. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of this land, the Wurundjeri Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to their spirits, ancestors, elders, and community members, past, present, and emerging. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Brendan Fine, CEO of Essendon Fields, the Honourable Ben Carroll, MP, Minister for Public Transport, the Mayor of the City of Moonee Valley, Councillor Cam Nation, councillors of the City of Moonee Valley, valued partners and supporters of Essendon Fields. While it's unfortunate we cannot celebrate this amazing milestone in person, there is nothing that could take away from the significance of this event. Essendon Fields has a long and proud history of serving our community. Since its humble beginnings as a grass all-over airfield, this airport has grown into a thriving precinct, encompassing many businesses that provide for our community, with the airport at its heart. As Melbourne's first domestic and international airport, Essendon Fields was Victoria's aviation gateway to the world, welcoming many international guests, celebrities, and aviation pioneers. I reflect on the excitement that must have rippled through the community when huge crowds would gather at the airport to greet famous visitors from around the world. From aviators like Charles Kingsford Smith to musicians Roy Orbison, the Beach Boys and the Beatles. These events helped to shape our cultural identity as Essendon Fields opened up Victoria to the world. Indeed, the image of 1 million Melburnians, 80% of the population at that time, lining the streets from Essendon Airport to the city to welcome the Queen, is one that is almost too fantastic to grasp. These events, I'm sure, live on fondly in the memory of those who were in attendance, with their stories passed down from generation to generation. It has been extraordinary to see the growth and development of Essendon Fields, particularly since 2001 when it was privatised, with new development and investment transforming this state into a thriving multi-purpose precinct and community hub. Through careful planning and a strong sense of history, the redevelopment of Essendon Fields has blended the beauty of its heritage buildings with world-class architecture that looks to the future. Essendon Fields now has over 6,000 people employed in the precinct, with future planning estimating the number could grow to as many as 20,000 by 2040. It is a credit to the vision of Brendan, his team, and the Fox and Beck's families that this once modest precinct has grown into the state-of-the-art destination it is today. Their continued focus on sustainability and community engagement has helped to ensure the future success of this stunning district. Now, while I've never been the kind of MP obsessed with having my name on a plaque, I'm very proud that back in March 2016, I had the honour of unveiling one here at the Royal Melbourne Hospital's Essendon Fields dialysis service. This service provides renal dialysis to hundreds of patients per year who get access to the amazing outlook onto the airfields while undertaking treatment. In my role as the Acting Minister for Police and Emergency Services, it has been an absolute honour to see firsthand the work of the Victorian Police Air Wing and the Air Ambulance Service, who find their home here at Essendon Fields. Incredibly, 1/3 of all movements at Essendon Fields involve emergency services. In the last 12 months, Air Ambulance Services has seen 10,000 movements out of Essendon Fields, while the Police Air Wing has had nearly 4,000. During the 2019-20 bushfires, Essendon Fields also became a critical hub for firefighting, recovery and relief efforts. The airport helped facilitate evacuations and repatriation flights, including a repatriation flight of 350 evacuees from Malakuta on Australia Day 2020. Victoria's emergency services work hard every single day with this place as their base, keeping people safe, saving lives, and ensuring all Victorians have access to first-class care and services. This amazing multi-purpose facility provides essential support for our community in many different ways. And while we can't overstate the vital role Essendon Fields has had in the history of aviation in Victoria, it is clear that this precinct is so much to our community than just an airport. It is part of Victoria's DNA. On behalf of the Victorian Government and the community, I thank everyone involved in Essendon Fields and this fantastic celebration, and I look forward to witnessing the continued growth of this vibrant precinct.
Many thanks there to Danny Pearson for joining us. Now for some fun Essendon Fields fun facts. Now, as you saw from the video earlier, so many famous faces have flown into Essendon Airport. Queen Elizabeth II in 1954 for her first visit to Australia. The term Beatlemania came from the Beatles arriving here in 1964. Kylie Minogue filmed parts of her first ever music video from Essendon Airport. And we have another Australian treasure who has frequented Essendon Airport and would like to wish it a happy birthday.
Hi Melbourne, this is Olivia Newton-John, and I just wanted to wish Essendon Airport a very happy 100th birthday. I have wonderful memories of Essendon because when Pat, Carroll and I, who were working in London, came back to Melbourne, we were met at Essendon by the press. It was an incredibly exciting time. And I remember meeting my sister at Essendon Airport after she had come back from London after a long trip. And it was always very exciting to go to the airport and watch the planes come in. And I'm so happy that the Fox family are now running the airport. And I want to say hi to you guys and thank you so much and happy birthday, Essendon.
Thank you to the beautiful Olivia Newton-John, who I had the pleasure of walking the Great Wall of China with when she was fundraising for cancer. It is now my pleasure to introduce our second speaker, the Honourable Ben Carroll, State Member for Niddrie, Minister for Public Transport, Roads and Road Safety.
Congratulations, Essendon Fields Airport, on 100 magnificent years. Since 1921, Essendon Airport has been such a significant part of our local community. For someone like myself, growing up in Airport West, it's always been the aerodrome next door to our suburb, where we'd see the little planes of all shapes and sizes flying across and near our community. I want to really acknowledge, though, how far Essendon Airport and now Essendon Fields Airport has come. It's amazing that we just celebrated the Tokyo Olympics and what a success they were. But to think back to 1956, when Melbourne held the Olympics, all the athletes, all the big arrivals were occurring at Essendon Fields Airport, and it's hosted presidents, queens, film stars, movie stars. It's been an iconic part of our community. And now, as the privilege to hold the seat of Niddrie in the Victorian community, I'm anchored by the beautiful Maribyrnong River to the south, and now Essendon Fields Airport to the north, and beautiful Brimbank Park to the west. But Essendon Fields Airport has really been about progress, a progress for our community and progress for securing local employment. It's grown from where I used to see it, and indeed ride my BMX across Matthews Avenue into Essendon Aerodrome to see where you'd see freight, you'd see little planes moving around, you see the helicopters. It is now a thriving centre of economic activity. And I think credit goes to the shareholders, to the board, to the team at Essendon Fields Airport, including Brendan Pearson and all the team there, but as well as the community that get behind the businesses, whether it's your shopping at the world famous Lamana, whether it's going to the dentist at Essendon Fields Airport, whether it's buying your next car at Essendon Fields Airport. It has something for everyone, and most importantly, it's securing jobs. I'm now also the Minister for Public Transport and Minister for Roads, and it was a pleasure to work very closely with management on the signalling tunnel widening project, also to the English Street Bridge. These are important investments. More recently too, trying to get better tram connections to Essendon Fields Airport. It's a great partnership, but it's all driven by the community. Congratulations on 100 years, Essendon Fields Airport, and here's to the next 100 years, an unparalleled success, something we're all very proud of. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ben. So now, another couple of Essendon Fields fun facts. Essendon Fields has evolved into so much more than simply an airport. There is now a world-class hotel, Hyatt Place, holding events and Melbourne visitors year-round. There are 16 car dealerships, making it one of the most popular Melbourne destinations to purchase a car. And for the shoppers, there is a DFO with hundreds of retail and dining offerings. Essendon Fields is a fantastic place to base a business with over 6,000 people working on site, a number that is expected to reach 20,000 in the next 20 years. So here to tell us more is Brendan Pearson, CEO of Essendon Fields.
Thanks very much, Nikki. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of Essendon Fields, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their leaders, past, present and emerging. I'd also like to extend that respect to the traditional owners of the land from wherever in the country you might be joining us today. I'd like to acknowledge the Honourable Barnaby Joyce, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Transport, Infrastructure, Regional Development and Cities, the Honourable Bill Shorten, the Honourable Danny Pearson, the Honourable Ben Carroll, Moonee Valley City Council Mayor Cam Nation, Roger Meyer and his team at the Civil Aviation Historical Society for their assistance pulling together so much information about our fascinating history, the owners and directors of Essendon Airport, the Fox and Beck families, and everyone who's joining us online. Thanks very much for joining us. It's a privilege to be the CEO of Essendon Fields and Essendon Fields Airport in normal times, let alone on its centenary. Today marks the actual birthday of Essendon Aerodrome, making it one of the oldest airports in the world. In 1921, the site was 93 acres of farmland, known as St John's, and was originally purchased by the government as land for defence purposes. In the 1920s and 30s, Alan Cobham crossed the Pacific for the first time, and Charles Kingsford Smith flew from England, both landing at Essendon. The 40s was all about the war effort, with the Beaufort bombers assembled on site, and between 1950 and 1970, Essendon was Melbourne's international airport. Essendon was our connection to the world before those operations moved to Tullamarine. Around 2000, some airports were privatised, with those airport lessee companies subsequently sold. Essendon Airport was one such airport, and it was that event that has seen such incredible inflows of private capital to transform this place and others and position it for the future. Today, Essendon Fields Airport is the home of emergency services, the Air Ambulance, Police Air Wing, Maritime Search and Rescue, Royal Flying Doctor Service and the famous Ericsson Air Crane helicopters that play such an important role in the state's firefighting effort each summer. Also, about 1/3 of all business jets in Australia are domiciled at Essendon, making it the home of corporate aviation. Along with the airport, Essendon Fields is well known for the DFO, Essendon Fields Auto, a growing office precinct, a high-tech industrial park, entertainment, hospitality, grocery, billboard, advertising, utilities. It really is a truly diverse place. And with everything that's been achieved here over the past 100 years, what is most exciting is what's to come. Essendon Fields will remain a vital aviation link for Victoria and also a key employment precinct in both aviation and non-aviation businesses. About 6,000 people work at Essendon Fields today. We expect that number to swell to about 20,000 people over the next 20 years, servicing the expected population growth in Melbourne's northwest. Over the next 10 to 15 years, the population in the northwest is expected to grow by 250,000 people. That's a city the size of Townsville bolted on to Melbourne's north. And as the state government knows, as is evidenced in the very important work that's being undertaken by the Department of Transport in the review of the Buller Road interchange, getting people in and out of Essendon Fields is a key barrier to growth that must be overcome to make the most of this opportunity. Suburban business parks are coming of age. In a post-COVID world, people want their jobs to be closer to where they live. Employers want their teams together in productive, affordable, COVID-safe workplaces. Entrepreneurs are looking to position themselves to make the most of the unstoppable e-commerce juggernaut and the last-mile logistics opportunities that go with that. Our relationships with government are extremely constructive, as they need to be, to make the most of this important precinct. Whether it be working with the federal government on aviation, environmental, planning or delivery matters, the state government on road access and public transport, or council with ways in which we can better integrate the community into Essendon Fields and provide opportunities for social infrastructure, we're extremely grateful for the good work that goes on between our organisations. Essendon Fields isn't a greenfields pipe dream. It's a prime opportunity, a place with real momentum that can help the state and country with the post-COVID economic recovery. To all of the customers and businesses that call Essendon Fields home and that have supported our growth, thank you. To everyone that's been a part of the Essendon Airport story over the past 100 years, including my predecessors, congratulations and thank you. And for those of you that haven't been to Essendon Fields for a while, we'd love everybody to come out and experience Essendon Fields and our airport today. You'll find that there's no better place in Melbourne to spend the day with a family, buy a car, go shopping, host business events, jump on a plane and explore Australia, or just sit in our beautiful gardens and marvel at planes taking off, something that has held people's fascination and imagination for the last 100 years and will continue to do so in the future. Finally, I'd like to extend a special thank you to our team that's tipped the plans for this event today on its head to make the very best of this latest COVID curveball. Our fantastic marketing team led by Nadia Salajic and ably assisted by the savvy Jess Knight. The events and creative teams, Aaron at Caramel, Shane at Blue Event, Steve at Blue Dot, Phil and Ange at Flourish. It takes a lot of stirring to make the sauce go silky, so I'd like to acknowledge that, so thank you very much. Our MC, Nikki Buckley, for helping us out at the last minute. Fantastic job. Thank you, Nikki. And the delightful Olivia Newton-John for her well wishes. Thank you very much, Olivia. And with that, it's happy birthday, Essendon Fields. Congratulations.
Thanks, Brendan. It now gives me great pleasure to welcome back the Lumsden sisters for a special Essendon Fields centenary performance.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Well, many thanks to the Lumsden sisters once again for that lovely performance. And thank you to all of our guests for joining us online. You can find many more amazing collections of community stories, archive footage, photos, moments and memories online at ef100.com.au. And we hope to see you all in person at the Essendon Fields Open Day on Saturday, October the 9th. So goodbye for now, take care, and thanks for being a part of the Essendon Fields Centenary Celebration.